Hello and welcome. I am Gimba Umar. Tonight, federal government receives assurance of additional support for development from China as President Buhari meets with special Chinese envoy. All Progressives Congress leadership asks federal government to nationalize South African businesses in Nigeria. Justice and respect for the rule of law suggested as antidotes to the killings and general insecurity problems in Nigeria. The UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson kicks off election campaign ahead of parliamentary vote on no-deal Brexit.
On business news tonight, capital importation into Nigeria drops by over 31% to $5.82 million in the second quarter of 2019.
On sports news tonight, former Super Eagles coach Samson Siasia appeals live ban imposed by FIFA.
And from Abuja, at least one person killed after farmers and herders clash in Igi village of Bininkudu local government area of Jigawa State.
A Chinese delegation led by a special envoy on Thursday visited President Muhammadu Buhari, bearing assurances of the government of China to improve on its cooperation and support to Nigeria. The meeting between the delegation and the President, Muhammadu Buhari, discussed Nigeria's development challenges, with the federal government promising to provide counterpart funding for agreements reached. Discussions on the status and implementation of projects undertaken by Chinese firms were also on the table. Our correspondent Ibrahim Adra reports.
A Chinese delegation led by a special envoy bearing a message from Chinese President Xi Jinping. The meeting provided opportunity for a comprehensive review of the relationship between China and Nigeria. It's a relationship President Buhari cherishes.
I want you to carry our most sincere appreciation to the President of what he has been doing in terms of the development of our deficit in agriculture, what you are doing in the roads, the rail, the quality of the job is good.
The President assures them of counterpart funding for agreements reached with China. The Chinese are involved in Nigeria's airports, security, agriculture, power, the Lake Chad Basin, amongst others. The envoy promises his country's further assistance.
China stands ready to contribute to the execution of Your Excellency's economic recovery and growth plan. This year, as I've told the Honorable Foreign Minister, China will provide an additional grant of 100 million RMB yuan to Nigeria in support of your nation's economic development.
Foreign Minister Mr. Jeffrey Onyama speaks on the meeting, including the position of Nigerians who are attending the World Economic Forum in South Africa in spite of Nigeria's withdrawal.
Professor Bande, elected as the next president of the General Assembly of the United Nations, and the Chinese have provided funding for that office so that he can function effectively over the next 1 year.
The World Economic Forum process had started a number of days ago, long before, and the governors who are there were already there, had gone there ahead, even before this whole issue materialized. So they were already engaged in that.
Also at the State House is Ebonyi State Governor.
You're welcome.
After meeting the President, he spoke on the visit and security issues, including his stand on IPOB.
We do not begin to talk to make IPOB happy and to suit, their demands, just because we want to make them happy. No, we have to do things as leaders of this country that we safeguard our people in the north, safeguard the north people that are in southeast, and then do everything as leaders to ensure that there is peace and that there is unity amongst us.
He also speaks on the presidency going to the southeast in 2023.
It is insulting to the occupier of a particular office when somebody has not even stayed 1 year. People are beginning to talk about, succeeding the person.
Mr. Omahi says he is confident governors in his region would work to fix infrastructure in the southeast for the benefit of the people. From the presidential villa in Abuja, Ibrahim Adra, Channels Television News.
President Muhammad Buhari's special envoy has arrived in Johannesburg for a meeting with the South African President Cyril Ramaphosa following the recent spate of xenophobic attacks on foreign-owned businesses and some local ones. The Director General of the National Intelligence Agency, Ambassador Ahmed Abubakar, touched down at the Ortambo International Airport, where he was received by the Nigerian High Commissioner, the Consul General, and other mission officials. The special envoy is expected to meet the host president in Pretoria on Friday in the afternoon. Back home, the South African High Commission in Nigeria has shut down its offices and consulate in the country for fear of attacks. And that's coming from the South African acting High Commissioner to Nigeria Ambassador Bobby Monroe, who said that he has directed the mission to suspend all consular activities until further notice. The Commission also confirmed to Channels Television that none of its officials have left the country except for those on leave. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Mohammed Bello, had called on the residents of the nation's capital not to carry out retaliatory attacks on South African nationals and business interests in the FCT over the xenophobic attacks on Nigerians in South Africa. In the meantime, the All Progressives Congress, the APC, is calling on the federal government to nationalize South African-owned businesses in the country, stating that it would send a strong message to the South African government. Addressing journalists at an emergency National Working Committee meeting in Abuja, the national chairman of the party, Comrade Adams Oshomole, requests the revocation of licenses of banks owned by South African interests. Comrade Oshomole made a call following deadly xenophobic attacks on Nigerians in the country. He urged Nigerians to shun all goods and services of South Africans.
What we find completely unacceptable is that whereas South Africans have continued to benefit from the Nigeria business environment and repatriating billions of dollars to South Africa and other places of their choice, the South African authority appear envious of the many jobs and petty trading activities which some Nigerians and other black people are involved in South Africa. We will have enough to save for Nigeria by transferring these businesses to Nigerians and using whatever profit accruing from this process to rehabilitate those Nigerians whose property has been lost and attempt to provide some succor to those who have lost their loved ones. But obviously, the situation of South Africa requires bold, imaginative, and direct message that we are willing and ready to match, South African government authorities' lukewarm attitude to these attacks as if they are, lives are not important. We think that it will also be an appropriate message to South African government that until they find satisfactory explanation and pay appropriate compensation to those innocent Nigerians whose property has been looted and those who have been killed, that until then, South Africa Airways should be stopped. Their landing rights in Nigeria should be stopped. They should not have the right to fly to any part of Nigeria until these issues are sorted out. Nigeria needs to show that we are not chicken to be molested. The life of every Nigerian matters, whether at home or abroad. This is the moment to show our commitment to our citizens and show sympathy to those who have lost their loved ones by boycotting South African goods and South African businesses.
As the recent attack on Nigerians in South Africa continues to dominate public discourse, the Inspector General of Police has warned against any form of reprisal attacks on foreigners or their businesses in the country. The police chief, who was in Ado-Ekiti for a stakeholders meeting on security, said that the fact that Nigerians are being attacked in South Africa should not be an excuse for Nigerians to take the law into their hands.
Nigeria is a country that has laws, and we obey our laws, and we will never behave the way others outside the country behaved. No individual is allowed to take laws into his hand. What happened in South Africa, the federal government is dealing with that at a diplomatic level. And it is not a license for any individual in this country to come around and attack the assets and businesses of South Africa or any other foreign country at all. So those people that engage in that, we look at them as unpatriotic and criminals. That's why we arrested many of them and we are going to prosecute them. Your country is a country that obeys the law. We believe in rule of law. So because if another country does something to the contrary, it doesn't mean that we should follow suit.
There have been series of suggestions on the solution to the insecurity problems in Nigeria. But today, some more suggestions are brought to the fore. At the annual Michael Okonkwo lecture series, speakers say that justice and the respect for the rule of law are clear antidote to the killings and criminality. Our political correspondent, Shehu Kimbaloi, reports.
Many of you have been made to believe that you cannot get justice in Nigeria because of corruption. Please, this is not true. In spite of the challenges we are facing, Nigeria has some of the best judges in the world.
That sort of conversation has enveloped the polity over the past weeks. And again in this room, the issues of the rule of law gets the attention of everyone and is listening keenly, especially in solving the insecurity problems. It is the annual Michael Okonkwo lecture series. Senior Advocate of Nigeria Femi Falana is the keynote speaker, and the renowned lawyer Chief Folake Solanke, Nigeria's first female senior advocate of Nigeria, is the chair of the event.
Without law, there's no justice. Without justice, there's no peace. Without peace, there's no national building.
The focus is how peace can be achieved using justice as a tool.
I have done a study, and I discovered to my utter chagrin the majority of ritual murderers, kidnappers, armed robbers operating in the Southwest are not of the Fulani extraction. Mostly they are all mostly Southerners, mostly. But the narration there, what we have sent out, is as if nobody in the South is an armed robber or a kidnapper. All kidnapping stories are traced to the Fulani herdsmen. We must, particularly the elite, if we want justice done in our country, we must stop tracing the ethnic orientation or religion of criminals. When criminals are arrested anywhere in our country, we must insist that justice be done, no matter where they come from, no matter the religion they want.
Nigeria is a blessed country, no doubt, and its diversity, they say, should be a strength and not a weakness. So the clergyman believes our differences should not be exploited for personal gains.
Until we divorce tribal sentiments, until we divorce religious sentiments, until we divorce party sentiments or personal interests, we can never address the problem of this country.
Day in, day out, our challenges confront us as a nation. Some of the solutions have been laid bare here, but it's now left to us as a people to confront our challenges with the right actions. Shehu Kimbaloi, reporting for Channels Television News.
Part 2. After the break, agriculture experts at the 2019 African Green Revolution Forum in Accra, Ghana, suggest leveraging technology to drive a sustainable food system in Africa. Join us again.